Hey model fans, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to Ducky's Model Cars. And today I'm going to come to you with another model car review of a model that I have purchased a bit more recently. So let me not ramble on too much longer, because I know you guys didn't come to see my face, you came to see the car. So let's go check out today's car. So today's model is going to be my AMG GT Black Series from Minichamps. Now if you guys are unfamiliar with this car as a whole, the quick backstory on it. So it's the AMG GT Black Series. It's the last in the line of this generation of AMG GT models from Mercedes. So it started way back with the AMG GT, the GTS, then we had the GTR, GTR Pro, now the GT Black Series. And the Black Series name also carries on from the likes of the SLS Black Series and the C63, just to name a couple of them. The Black Series has always been the most hardcore version, so essentially Mercedes and AMG taking sort of what they learned from motorsports and bringing it into a road car to make the most hardcore road car that they can. And in terms of the actual car, it has a 4-liter twin-turbo V8, makes 720 horsepower, I think something like 580-ish around there, Newton meters of torque. Of course, at one point in 2020, this was the Nürburgring record holder for a production car in terms of lap time. It, of course, has since been dethroned. But to jump into the actual model, again, as I mentioned, this is by Minichamps models. So this one's a little bit interesting because it's kind of a mix of materials. It's partly composite plastic, partly metal. So things like the hood, you guys can hear the tap there, are metal, but then you go to something like the door or the rear quarter panels. And I think the doors are metal, but then like the rear feels kind of plastic. It doesn't quite feel metally. So yeah, it's a little bit of a mix. Of course, the carbon fiber, bits are kind of plasticky, but the carbon fiber is done nicely. We'll get to that in just a moment. But yeah, overall, the car here is finished in Solar Beam Yellow, which is kind of a bit of an iconic and classic color from Mercedes, and is something that I've wanted on a car in my collection for a long time. Of course, if you guys follow me, you might know that I'm a little bit of a Shmee 150 fan, so I was definitely inspired by him and his car in getting this. So I'm really happy that somebody made the GT Black Series in this color. Of course, Norev is the other company that I guess is kind of well known for making these cars, and I was originally going to buy the Norev model, but then as we'll see in a second here, the Minichamps just has a couple other features that for me put it ahead of the Norev. So to dive into a couple of those features, you guys can probably see on the front here that one of, the party tricks, or trick arrow bits with the AMG GT Black Series is this extended front splitter piece. So if you guys can see there, where my nail is the end of the fully extended piece that you pull out for a track day. And then of course right here is where the actual splitter that's already attached to the body is. So you can see, I don't remember exactly how much bigger it is, but you can see how much more out that this sticks. Again, all in the name of downforce and being able to set better lap times. Now, one thing that the model doesn't have, which the real car does, is that it actually has like little splitter rods or splitter ties. So they would sit on either side of the Mercedes logo here. Now, I imagine because of how small it is, it's probably just, something that would maybe break off on the model. So I think I can understand why they didn't, but it would have been cool to have that, as it is a feature of the actual car and how the front splitter works. But barring that, you can see for the AMG GT Black Series, they largened the front grille, again, to help with cooling and everything through the car. So you can see it has a much larger and sort of newer style Mercedes front end. Right here is where you would put in your tow hook to tow the car if you ever need, or if you ever need recovery, like say on a track day if you spin off or something. That's what that little, cutout in the front of the car is. Of course, we have our set license plate holder right there, and the AMG logo in the front of the grille as well. Headlights are done very well on this. They're a nice shiny plastic, and the detail in them is good. Again, in the name of downforce, we have the little canards on the side, one on each side, just a singular one, and then kind of the more aggressive front arrow as well. That all works in tune with the front lip and everything. If we see on the side here, we have the louvered fenders on either side of the vehicle. That helps to obviously on the real car get rid of any swirling air inside the wheel wells. And the louvers are nicely cut out on the model here. They don't go all the way and you can't see through, but the louvers are nicely executed and you can kind of run your finger along them and feel the definition. Sticking with the hood, again, we can see the little gurney flap there on either side to help with the aerodynamics, and the sort of in cutouts here, the air channels are finished in carbon fiber, which again is just a plastic bit, but I think is executed actually nicely. It looks like a very good attempt at recreating our carbon fiber weave. It doesn't look cheaply made, despite the fact that it is plastic. Up top, we can see the little vents that help with cooling in the engine. These aren't see-through. They're not straight mesh. They're just like sort of a mesh design. But I think, you know, for the model, they are done fairly well. And in the center here, we can see the little central ram air scoop. And again, you can hopefully see on camera there that it has the little mesh detailing in there, which is executed nicely. If we come down to the side of the vehicle, again, basically all the black bits that you see on the car, minus obviously the tires and the wheel, are finished in carbon fiber. So you can see the nice big carbon fiber side skirt there. Obviously the V8 bi-turbo badging on there. Now, they don't have it on the model, but they do on the real car, is that behind the V8 on the real car is actually painted red. I think just for an added distinction that it is the Black Series and I guess the most hardcore model. So there is no red backing detail on the model. Again, just a small little detail that maybe they couldn't execute properly, but just another thing that, you know, is on the real car that isn't on the model, but I still think the model is good. The doors are fitted nicely. You know, there's no overly large panel gaps or anything, and we won't touch the inside right at the moment, but if you put the key in there, they are hinged nicely. Oh, you can see there, they do take a bit of force to open and close, and they don't feel cheaply made. They do slam shut a little bit, but you can feel when you wiggle it, there is no wiggle or play in there, so the hinges are quite solid on the model. Again, the mirrors have a carbon fiber finish on them. The roof is entirely carbon fiber, and we can see the little sort of indent in the roof, again, in the name of aerodynamics. So that is executed well on the model. You can clearly see there how there's the obvious dip. It's not huge, model, but again, if you run your finger along it, you can clearly feel the definition and the indent. So kudos to Minichamps for that. If we move to the back of the model, I think one of the party pieces with this car overall is the massive rear wing. So again, the entire top of the wing is finished in carbon fiber here on the model. And one of the things that drew me to this Minichamps model versus the Norev is the extended front splitter on the front, and the fact that this car, this model actually features the working sort of rear aero wing, just like on the real AMG GT Black Series. So this is all in the name of downforce as well. So it has the active sort of flap in the wing back here, which can be put in different positions based on your driving, and also acts as an air brake when you step on the brakes to help you slow down the car. So a really, I guess, trick and cool feature on the real car, and nice to see that Minichamps actually added that small little detail. Now, I would be careful with it on the model. I kind of like to play with it a little bit, but you know, I'm sure if you play with it too much, it might break off. So just make sure to be gentle with it if you guys pick up one of these models. But again, the detail on the rear wing is great. We can see it, just how massive it is, and it also has that central bar. Somewhere light, you can see it has that central bar in the middle, which is kind of like a secondary wing, and also acts, I think, as a bit of a brace for the wing as well, because it's so massive. The last thing you want is it moving around. And then also with the rear hatch, we can see the black painted contrast detail on there. So the whole car isn't all in yellow. There is some contrast thing bits there as well, which I think just break up the car and make it look more aggressive and just make it look really cool. Sticking with the rear of the car, the taillights again are executed nicely, sort of the updated style taillights with this car. We can see there with the light that again the entire rear diffuser is finished in carbon fiber, and we can see just how it kind of indents in there with the rear blades, again because downforce on the car. The central reversing light there, and then the two lights on the side, and then of course the quad tip exhausts that come out the back, and you can see just how aggressively sort of the wheels and the tires kind of poke down there. I guess while we're at the back of the car, let me open up the trunk. Of course, the model is fully opening, so we can see it has decent trunk space. One good thing, I guess, with this being the AMG GT Grand Touring based vehicle is that even though it's the Black Series, the most hardcore sort of track version, Mercedes didn't really skimp on any of the trunk space, so it still has a decent trunk in there. You can see the roll bar executed. Of course, it has a full roll cage in it, or just in the rear, again, because race car, which we can see just like on the real car, goes right down and attaches itself to the chassis. But of course, the nice felt detail is still there, so you still have a nice trunk area. One thing I will point out, if you guys have ever seen a real AMG GT Black Series or any of the real videos on it, to kind of compensate for how much downforce and everything the wing puts down on the real car, there are two brackets that sit roughly here and here in the trunk of the real car that are attached to the chassis, which help to support the weight of the downforce and the rear wing. Otherwise, if that was all going through the body, you would probably have it horribly warping and cracking and not working well. So the model doesn't have those. So again, another little sort of nitpicky thing that maybe they could have added, but just something I wanted to point out. Doesn't really detract from the level of detail on the model, I don't think, but just one little thing that they maybe could have executed on here. But again, maybe for the price point, is some little detail that they might have eliminated for the overall model. Yes, and I'm sorry, the lighting here isn't going to be the best. We will dive into the interior a little bit more. But again, you can see there the interior with the two-tone, so the black seats with the kind of the orange piping. Now, one of the things when you got this car new was that there weren't a whole lot of interior options. Basically, you had all black seats, and you could choose some, I believe, the orange pinstriping, gray pinstriping, or I think just straight black. With kind of like a two-tone, like an Alcantara and like a leather insert or something. So not a whole lot of interior options. That might have changed with some of the later models, or maybe if you could go fully custom. So yeah, I guess it maybe clashes a little bit having the orange pinstriping detail on the inside, obviously with the beautiful yellow paint on the outside. But again, to stay true to the model, as something Minichamps had to do, I might have preferred if they had gone with the gray or the all black, just so there's a bit less of a contrast. But I guess the contrast is kind of cool to show off some of the interior details, which we will dive into in just a moment here. So we can see there, this car features the latest and the most updated version of the dash. So of course we have the more advanced screen in the center console there. We have the updated steering wheel on this, and of course the updated, I guess, speedo and everything there for the latest generation, the latest tech from Mercedes. Again, let's rotate this gently and also slightly. You can see there it has kind of the famous now AMG Sport bucket seats, again with the AMG logo in the orange stitch. And you can see there, I guess, even down to, you know, the windshield wipers are executed pretty nicely on this model. And if we try to zoom in a little bit, we can see some more of the central dash there, the central tunnel. I do like the nice felt detailing on the inside of the model. I think that's executed nicely and just obviously looks a little bit better than just some straight plastic. The pedals there, we can see the brake pedal very prominent. It looks like there is a lack of an accelerator pedal, but actually, because of the way the pedals are mounted in the Mercedes, I think the accelerator pedal is mounted to the floor. So I guess it's hard to see there, but technically that little plastic bit to the right, oops, my finger's in the way there. That little bit to the right, I think right there would be the accelerator. I'm not sure. It's really hard to see on camera. I'd have to actually, look at the model properly. But yeah, I assure you that the vehicle does have an accelerator pedal. It's just, for whatever reason, not very prominently shown inside the model here. But yeah, there's a quick look at the interior. And of course, as before we go, we can see the yellow button in the middle there. That is of course the AMG, I believe it's 7 or 8 speed or zone traction control system. So that's a little toggle there for basically how much you want the car to slide or make you not slide. Before we jump completely out of the interior, I just want to point out the little AMG sort of badging on the side here. Now on the model, it is just a sticker. Of course, on the real car, it is sort of properly integrated into the door sill. But again, that is finished in carbon fiber, and even though it is just a sticker, I think it is executed nicely. The AMG text is perfect and large enough to read clearly on the model. And again, you kind of get that nice little contrast between the carbon fiber and the yellow right on the door as you open up the model, and of course on the real car as well. All right, and quickly sticking with the front of the car, we can take a look at the engine bay. And unfortunately, just like on the real car, and let's be honest, most new cars today, you don't really see a whole lot because there's a big cover over the engine. Now, I guess, of course, with this being an AMG in the Black Series, this is finished in plastic, but it is a carbon fiber engine cover. Now, this carbon fiber isn't quite executed as well as the rest of the car. I'm not really sure. I guess maybe they don't expect you to open up the engine bay as much on a model, but I would have liked to see them have this sort of the same care and detail with the carbon fiber cover on the inside of the engine as they do with all the exterior carbon bits. I think it would have flowed a little bit better, of course, just like on the real car. But yeah, not much to see here. Again, 4-liter twin turbo V8. We can see sort of the top of the engine there. I guess the ECU on the side there, the windshield wiper or windshield washer fluid cap there. We can see here the mesh for the much more aggressive radiators in the front. Again, because race car, they basically took the GT3 race car and made it for the road with the Black Series. So they have massive radiators at the front, which are angled up, again, all in the name of cooling and to help with their airflow and everything through the car. So that's what this mesh piece here. You can't really see anything inside of there. There's no actual radiators on the car, but that's what that piece would be. And of course, with this being an AMG model, we have the famous sort of one engine plaque there. So every AMG engine is, I guess, built by one person. One person is responsible for it. So they always will sign off on the plaque there. And one of the cool nods with this being a Black Series is that this plaque is actually finished in black, whereas on your sort of standard, if you will, AMG models, sorry guys, the camera doesn't want to focus. On your standard AMG models, that plaque would be finished in silver, but again, because Black Series, it's finished in black. So if you had no other way of knowing, if you pop the engine bay, that's how you can tell that this car is a Black Series, or in fact, any sort of AMG Black Series model. I do want to mention too that this does have sort of working suspension, so we can see if I push, the back kind of bounces, the front a little bit, not quite as aggressively, but this model does feature working suspension, which I know is, I think, something that a lot of the Minichamps models do. So I guess if you want to push it around and feel like you're driving a real car, it does have working suspension. It does not feature rear wheel steering, which is one thing that, again, on the real car, it does have. So you can move the front wheels. There's not a whole lot of turn to them, but you can move the front wheels, but you cannot move the rear wheels, even though this car does have rear wheel steering in the real world. That sounded like a bit of a tongue twister. All right, sorry about the interruption there, guys. My phone was ringing. But anyways, just to end off the video quickly, I just want to show you guys the bottom of the model. Again, not a whole lot to see here, again, because race car, the floor is mostly smooth to give the best airflow and being undisturbed. You have a little bit of a cutout there, so you can, of course, access your exhaust if you need to do any work on that. And then the other things I wanted to point out are these little plastic bits under the car that we see on the back of the diffuser, under the rear axle, sort of under the passengers or the seats, and then again on the front. And those are all, I guess, little air channels. Now on the real car, they're just made out of, I believe, rubber. So if you do scrape them, they're kind of easy to replace. But yeah, those are just purely air channels, again, to help with in the name of aerodynamics and have the smoothest airflow under the car. But it's really cool that Minichamps added that little detail. Again, it's something little, something people might not see on the model if they don't flip it over, but I thought it was just worth mentioning in this review, as it is something that is sort of vital to the actual car, and it's, again, nice to see that Minichamps added it onto the model itself. So I think that's pretty much going to do it. Just to end off quickly here, guys, I did purchase this model through an online, I guess, diecast wholesaler. So I will put the link to that website down in the description below if you guys want to go and buy it. If I can find this again, I will put the direct link to this model. And if you didn't see my last video where I broke down how much everything cost, I think I paid about $230 for this Canadian. That was before shipping and taxes and everything. Now, the one, I guess, caveat with that is that at the time that I purchased this, about a month ago, the website was having a sale. So just keep that in mind if they do still have them on the website and you're wondering, why it's more than $230. I did buy it on while they were having a sale. So I'm not sure. Again, I'll link to the website. I'm not sure if they're still having a sale, but just keep that in mind if you're going to purchase from that site or somewhere else, that the price is going to vary. I think the original price was somewhere around $300 starting, so it was a fairly significant discount. But yeah, I will link that down below. Of course, I will link everything else down below as well. If you're not following me on Instagram, go give me a follow there. But yeah, final thoughts on the model. Again, I absolutely love it. The GT Black Series is one of my favorite cars I think that Mercedes has ever made. It looks really cool. Again, the Solar Beam Yellow is a color that I've wanted for a very long time, and I think is executed perfectly on the model here. Again, no real negatives except for some of the little nitpicky things that I mentioned. But again, they're such little small things at the end of the day that I'm not overly concerned. It doesn't detract at all from the overall presence or, I guess, overall look of the model itself. Again, I am a big fan of the active aero bit on the wing here, and everything is just, the fit and finish is all really nice. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel for all future content. Again, if you're not following me on Instagram, go give me a follow there, because that's where I'll post any new news or information or new models in the collection first. And I will see you all in the next one, and happy collecting. Bye.